Niagara Falls is a collection of 3 waterfalls dating 10,000 years. The 3 falls are the American Falls, Bridal Falls, and Canadian Horseshoe Falls. Of these 3, Horseshoe is the tallest at 167 feet, as it doesn't feature the rocks at the bottom that the other 2 do. So what would it be like if, for some reason, you found yourself on the border between the US and Canada and found yourself, rather than watching the falls like 30 million people do a year, but actually in it, plunging towards the depths with gallons of water following you down? 740,000 gallons of water over its edge every second at about 68 miles per hour to be precise. Well, you wouldn't be the only one that's been there. Quite a few have taken that journey for various different reasons. Some to take their own life, others for publicity, and some just for the challenge. Regardless of the reasons, it's illegal to ride the falls, as these people have done so. If you're lucky enough to survive, then there's the law to deal with on the other side. But what are the chances of getting this far? Let's explore this and other factors of throwing yourself over the most famous falls on the planet. On October 24, 1901, a 63-year-old schoolteacher named Annie Edson Taylor became the first person to take the plunge over Niagara Falls in a barrel. Strapped for cash and seeking fame, Taylor came up with a perfect attention-getting stunt. She would go over Niagara Falls in a homemade barrel. Taylor was not the first person to attempt the plunge over the famous falls. In October 1829, Sam Patch, known as the Yankee Leaper, survived jumping down the 175-foot Horseshoe Falls drop. More than 70 years later, Taylor chose to take the ride on her birthday. Taylor strapped herself into a leather harness inside an old wooden pickle barrel 5 feet high and 3 feet in diameter, with cushions lining the barrel to break her fall. Taylor was towed by a small boat into the middle of the fast-flowing Niagara River and cut loose. She emerged around 20 minutes after her journey began, battered but with only a small cut and injuries. After a brief flurry of photo ops and speaking engagements, she was unable to gain the riches she craved for her efforts. However, many were inspired by her actions. Between 1901 and 1995, 15 people went over the falls. 10 of them survived, so it looks like you have a 2 in 3 chance of surviving if you went over. Among those that were not so lucky were Jesse Sharp, who attempted to shoot the falls with his kayak. He was so confident in his stunt, he had made dinner reservations that evening. Not only that, but he wore no helmet for fears it would obscure his face for camera, and no life jacket for fears this would keep him under the fall's water flow. Despite his confidence, however, he wasn't so fortunate and his body was never found. Joining him on the wrong side of luck was Robert Overacker, who in 1995 went over the falls on a jet ski. His plan was to clear the falls and trigger a parachute to float to his descent. Unfortunately, the parachute failed to deploy and Overacker went over and lost his life. His body re-emerged and onlookers were given the illusion that he was swimming to safety, but this was only due to the currents making it look as though his limbs were moving on their own accord. Unfortunately, this was not the case, and he was pronounced dead at the local hospital. So, your chances wouldn't be great, but you may survive. It depends what you were going over the falls with. A barrel may be your best bet. If you're riding on top of anything on the way down, then your odds don't look great. But that's what might happen if you fell into Niagara Falls. What do you think of your chances of survival? Let us know in the comments, and please like this video if you've enjoyed it. If you want to see more what if videos, then give us a subscribe. Thanks for watching.